Vocabulary. 1. Futile. Useless or without result. His efforts to persuade her were futile. The futile attempt to repair the old machine wasted hours. 2. Fusion. The process of combining two or more things into one. Example. The fusion of jazz and rock created a new genre of music. The chef's dishes are a fusion of French and Asian cuisine. 3. Fundamental. Essential or primary, relating to the base or foundation. Example. Understanding basic math is fundamental to learning physics. Freedom of speech is a fundamental human right. 4. Fraudulent. Involving deception or dishonesty. Example. The company was charged with fraudulent business practices. He made a fraudulent claim to get the insurance money. 5. Fragrant. Having a pleasant smell. Example. The garden was filled with fragrant flowers. She wore a fragrant perfume that lingered in the air. 6. Fragment. A small part broken off or detached. Example. The vase broke into tiny fragments. Example. I only remember fragments of my dream. 7. Foremost. Most important or leading. Example. He is one of the foremost scientists in his field. Example. Protecting the environment should be our foremost priority. 8. Forego. To give up or do without. Example. I had to forego dessert to maintain my diet. Example. She decided to forego her vacation to focus on work. 9. Fable. A short story that teaches a moral, often with animals as characters. Example. The fable of the tortoise and the hare teaches patience and persistence. Example. Many old fables contain valuable life lessons. 10. Flimsy. Thin, weak, or easily damaged. Example. The flimsy paper tore when I picked it up. Example. His flimsy excuse didn't convince anyone. 11. Flee. To run away, often from danger. Example. The villagers were forced to flee from the advancing army. Example. The suspect tried to flee the scene but was caught by the police. 12. Fiery. Full of fire or intense emotion. Example. He gave a fiery speech that inspired the crowd. Example. The dish was too fiery for my taste because of the spices. 13. Ferocious. Savage, fierce, or violent. Example. The lion's ferocious roar echoed through the jungle. Example. The storm was ferocious, tearing roofs off buildings. 14. Fatigue. Extreme tiredness or exhaustion. Example. After the long hike, they were overcome with fatigue. Example. He worked late into the night, battling fatigue to finish the project. 15. Feeble. Weak or lacking strength. Example. The old man gave a feeble smile. Example. His feeble attempt to lift the box showed he was exhausted. 16. Feasible. Possible or practical to do. Example. The plan is ambitious but feasible with the right resources. Example. It's not feasible to complete the project in one day. 17. Fatal. Causing death. Example. The car accident was fatal for the driver. Example. Without immediate treatment, the illness could be fatal. 18. Fasten. To secure or close something. Example. She fastened the seatbelt before starting the car. Example. The package was fastened with strong tape. 19. Fancy. Elaborate, decorative, or having a liking for something. Example. He wore a fancy suit to the event. Example. She has a fancy for exotic food. 20. Falter. To hesitate, weaken, or stumble. Example. His voice faltered as he delivered the bad news. Example. She didn't falter in her determination to succeed. 21. Faulty. not working properly or having defects. Example: the faulty wiring caused a fire in the building. Example: the car's engine is faulty and needs repair. 22. Faint, weak or barely perceptible. Example: she felt faint after standing in the sun for too long. Example: there was a faint smell of roses in the air.